The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 486. Mr. Somich.
Cody's Wish. Huzzah!
Hey, happy Whitney Stakes for everybody. Car Remember, I know we're a little bit late. I was trying to shovel in lunch real fast. I was a little behind. It's all my fault. I'll take the ownership on that one. But hey, we're here. That's the important part. If you're listening on the podcast or watching the replay, you've got no idea. You're like, oh yeah, this started exactly when I wanted it to. But yeah, covering Saratoga's late pick 5. Races 8 through 11, we've got starts with the Grade 1 test, goes into the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby, into the Grade 1 Whitney, and then after that, we've got a couple of really tough, salty N1X allowance level horses, one on dirt, one on turf. So a good mix of races here. It's nice to see, surprisingly, at Saratoga, other than the Whitney, which we knew was going to be short anyway, and even that got 6, there's some pretty good fields in here, Mike.
Look at you. This California racing guy just taking shots at the Naira fields every chance you get now.
No, they're good. I mean, and look at Del Mar. The reason we're here and not at Del Mar, aside from we want to talk about Cody's Wish, the Hirsch, which is not even an exciting race most years, they drew 5, and I think we all believe Adair Manor is going to run away with it. So, yeah, not an exciting race, but we have Saratoga. Saratoga is all that matters this weekend.
Oh, we talked about this last weekend, too. The first 2 weekends at Del Mar are just unmatched because you have these monster fields that are going because all these horses are pointing toward Del Mar. The stakes races are generally 2-year-old turf stakes races, things like that, where you get full fields and a lot of different ways you can go. And then as the season grinds along, you get these shorter and shorter fields at Del Mar, whereas Saratoga seems to almost pick up momentum as it gets going. As long as we can get the rain to hold off, then Saratoga is a phenomenal racetrack late in the meet. Hopefully we can get that. And hopefully we start connecting here at Saratoga as well.
Speaking of connecting in Saratoga, if you bought the Somobombs, you're having yourself a good day so far, and it sounds like it's continuing over at Del Mar. You had 6 straight on-top winners, and then your second pick was a must-use. That was a winner as well. So you're having a good day so far, all things considered.
Yeah, some people took the advice of pressing tickets, and the pick 4 in the middle paid $94.50. A couple of people had that for $10. I know someone had a $20 cold pick 4 in the early one. We had 4 singles, which went winner in the early pick 4. So that was kind of nice. I paid $1,600 for $20. So glad to see people are cashing in. Hopefully we can get this late pick 5 home, late pick 4 home. I'm still alive in the pick 6. And Del Mar, we started out with a top 1-2 finish with the exact as well. So just got to keep it rolling now.
Well, Nick Sievers in the chat is upset that the Lure and the Troy are not in the late pick 5. Listen, the Caravel is a star, but if you look at who she's facing, there's not a lot in the Troy, and it's certainly not a Grade 1 race, so that's why it's not in there. As far as betting goes, they structure these races and these sequences to try and produce a good betting product as well. We've got full fields in the last 2 allowance races. The Lure, it does start off the pick 6, so if you do want to play the Lure, you've got that going for you. That is race 7. Yeah, it's great though, and even with Mark brings up Saratoga's been hurt for sure by small stakes fields and rain washing turf races off. The latter thing that happens every year. There's always some rain that washes a bunch of turf races off. That's just you're in New York, you're not in California. That's going to happen there, but. Like Car Ramrod says, how any fan can complain about Saratoga and Del Mar is beyond me. It's the absolute best time of year for the horse racing fan because you get big stars like Elite Power, like Forte, like Cody's Wish that we're going to talk about in a second. You ready to do it?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Riders up!
Could have been anywhere in the world right now. We're glad you chose to be here with us talking about Saratoga's late pick 5 on Saturday, August 5th, which kicks off with race 8, the Grade 1 test stakes for 8 3-year-old fillies sprinting 7 furlongs on the dirt. And you can probably expect to see 1 or 2 of these fillies hopefully show up in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint, another 7-furlong race at the end of the year. A couple of big stars in here, including the one-horse Pretty Mischievous at 9-5. Winner of back-to-back Grade 1s, the 9-furlong Kentucky Oaks, the 8.5-furlong Acorn. That was at one turn. Can she handle 7 furlongs, Mike?
We'll see, man. The pipeline just went down to a 21-1 shot, bold something. At Saratoga, didn't have that one. So that's kind of a bummer. Anyway, all right, let's talk about some Saratoga racing on Saturday here. I thought this was a really fun race. You got a ton of speed that signed up here. Pretty Mischievous cutting back, really interesting. Maple Leaf Mel has been phenomenal in every one of her starts. I've tried to beat her a couple times, and that's gone poorly. She's 5 for 5 lifetime. But I'm going to go to an old favorite here. I don't know if Shotty's in the chat, but if she is, she'll be happy about this. Give me Darth Vader, the 6th horse on top. I think the 7 furlong is a perfect distance for Darth Vader. I mentioned the pace. Darth Vader has been sneaky good at sitting right behind fast paces and running a very good race. I love the 6-1 price, and I'm not sold that Pretty Mischievous is going to be one of those horses that's going to be really good on the cutback. I'm not sold that Maple Leaf Mel is going to be able to take as much pressure she's going to take here and win at 7 furlongs. So I'll go with a little bit of a price here. Give me the 6 horse Darth Vader.
Shout out to Shotty. She is not going to be, she's not in the live chat. She is busy this weekend. There's a convention called Gen Con that she is at right now, but I know that she's sad that she can't be here for the live show, but she'll be happy to hear that. She'll be happy, maybe a little bit surprised to hear that I also used Darth Vader. I only went too deep, and I have her in second behind Pretty Mischievous, but the fact that you nailed it, she's returning to a distance where I think it's really great for her. 7 furlongs up to a 1-turn mile, that's right where she needs to be. Remember, she won the Grade 2 Devona Dale by almost 5 lengths, and we thought Red Carpet Ready, at least at 1 turn, was untouchable at that point. And so she dusted Red Carpet Ready. Looked phenomenal there. The Gulfstream Park Oaks, Kentucky Oaks, both 2-turn races, and she didn't do poorly, especially in the Kentucky Oaks. For her to get 5th after sitting so close to the pace, I think a little closer than she probably does like to be. Now she's going to show up here. Second time out for Weaver, second time out for Johnny V. Those back-to-back bullets that she's worked over the local track, you've got to love that as well. So I'm with you on Darth Vader. I also, like I said, I went too deep. Pretty Mischievous is the other one. Brendan Walsh said that he purposely bypassed the 9 furlong Grade 1 CCA Oaks because of this, because he thinks that she's probably going to be better at 7 furlongs at a mile. She did win, of course, the 9 furlong Kentucky Oaks, but even the Acorn, right? It was a very close win for her. It was by a head and a neck in her last 2 starts. She does have a 7 furlong win. Her second career start, it was in the slop at Churchill Downs at age 2, but she won it handily. Broke her maiden pretty easily on debut at 6.5 furlongs. Not something Brendan Walsh horses do. Clearly the most, classiest horse in this field right now. Talent perspective, I think she's right up there at the top. I'm going to keep trying to beat Maple Leaf Mel. I tried trying to beat her in the Victory Ride Stakes. That didn't go well for me. But if you look at who she's beaten, and even in the Grade 3 Miss Preakness, the Grade 3 Victory Ride, there was no Darth Vader. There was no Pretty Mischievous. Money's Gold even wasn't in any of those spots. And this is a horse that almost won a Grade 2 on Derby weekend. Missed that by a head. So I don't think that Maple Leaf Mel is of the caliber of these. She's a good horse. It's a great story that she's named for her now trainer, Mel Giddings, who was an assistant to Jeremiah Englehart. She's owned by the coach, Bill Parcells, and they named her after Giddings, who's a Canadian. She survived stage 4 breast cancer. So she came out on top, and now she's got that was her first stakes winner in the Grade 3 Victory Ride, Maple Leaf Mel. Now her first Grade 1 starter. So I said it for the Victory Ride. I'll say it again. If I lose this leg, I want it to be to this horse, but I'm not going to play her. I think there's just too much speed, and I think the talent that she's facing, just a little too tough for her, Mike.
Yeah, I was back and forth putting her on the ticket. I ended up leaving her off the ticket. If you want to add her, you can. It would move the ticket up to $64. I'm at $48, so it's not too expensive of an ad. I did go 3 deep here. I took a shot with the price. I went with Interpolate, who actually lost to Maple Leaf Mel last time out, but was 5-1 in that spot. You're getting 15-1 on the morning line. This horse ran really well in the Belmont, 2 back at Keeneland, going 7 furlongs. I thought showed a ton of promise in that race, was able to come from off the pace. And if this thing collapses and it's not Pretty Mischievous, why couldn't it be the 5 here? I mean, if you go back and you watch that last race, had a ton of trouble out of the gate, never really had a chance in it. Now you're getting a really nice price. Flavian Pratt picking up the mount. To me, if you want to take a swing here to someone from off the pace, and the 5, Interpolate, makes as much sense as anybody else to me. So I ended up 156 here.
And Pratt gets the mount because Irad is going to stay aboard Money's Gold. Neither of us used her. She's really fast, but I think she needs to be, 5-6 furlongs, maybe quarter horse. Like, that's where she belongs. She's true Munnings filly in the sense that she's all speed and she runs out of gas very quickly. So would you be surprised if Money's Gold won? I would, just because the 8 and the 2, I think, are just as fast as she is, are going to make things difficult.
Yeah, that's the problem for me too. And we're 7, not 6. Like, if this was 6, I'd be a little more likely to use her. But I don't see Maple Leaf Mel sitting. And that's the thing. And so that means Money's Gold, who's right to the inside, has to let Maple Leaf Mel clear and then wheel around her and beat her, or has to press. And I don't think either of those scenarios are very favorable for Money's Gold. So I feel like because of the other speed in here, because of the distance, I couldn't get to Money's Gold, who super talented filly. I just think 6 furlongs is better than 7 for her.
Second leg of the Saratoga Late Pick 5 on Saturday, August 5th. Race 9, the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby for 9 3-year-olds, routing a mile and 3/16 on the outer turf. And it's interesting that the Grade 1 Belmont Oaks winning filly, Aspen Grove, is going to scratch out of Friday's Grade 3 Saratoga Oaks in order to run against the boys. They're going for a bigger purse, $600,000, and the Grade 1 status to try and get a multiple Grade 1 winner here. I'd be surprised if either one of us used her, because I know you were trying to fade her in the Saratoga Oaks before it was announced that she was going to scratch. So where'd you go on top?
Yeah, I think this is actually an easier field than the Saratoga Oaks, to be honest with you, for her. If you go up and down, and I think she's got a better shot in this race than the other. I only went too deep here. I just don't think this is that contested of a field. I put the 2-horse Program Trading on top here. Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt, probably the fastest horse early. And if that's the case, I'm not sure they're going to be able to catch her late. Or catch him late. I'm sorry. This seems like a horse that's going to get loose on the lead. Looked very good going a mile and 16th last time. So I don't think the extra 2/16 is going to be much of an issue. Bred to get the distance as well. And it just feels like this one's going to dominate early. Mundango, the 1 horse, the other speed, I guess, in here. But that speed was shown going 51-14. And Program Trading last time went 23-2, 47-1. So just a different level of speed. On top of that, Pratt, I would expect, is going to clear Rosario just because of the 2 styles of those riders and the 1 and the 2 posts. I think the 2 has a very good shot at taking this field gate to wire.
Same top pick for me as well. The lone speed on paper angle is pretty good. I also like that last time out, the horse pressed the pace, sat off of it a little bit, but was within pressing range of the actual leader while on the outside, and then ended up drawing away to win by 2 1/4 lengths. And that was a 1-turn mile and a 16th, but still, this horse has 2 starts, both at a mile and a 16th. And when you see that, especially when they debut at that distance from a top trainer like Chad Brown, it tells you that the trainer's thinking that the longer the better for this horse. So you get an extra furlong here, which can often help speed horses as long as they have the staying power, and it looks like this one should. Last time out, also, Scramble was third that day, returned to miss by a nose in an N1X allowance here on July 22nd. And if you watch that race back, Scramble probably should have won that race, but he hung pretty badly late in the stretch there. Not worried that this is a Klarovich horse that Irad's never touched. Pratt got the mount last time out at Belmont because Irad was on suspension, a common theme with him sometimes. So wasn't able to ride there for a little while. We both have the second horse in line as well here, the number 5 Far Bridge, your 2-1 favorite. No shocker there. As long as Jose Ortiz is healthy, and I think I don't know if he was riding today or if he's back tomorrow at Saratoga, but as long as he's okay and the ribs are fine, he'll be back on this horse. And the horse is undefeated with Jose Ortiz. Last time out in the Belmont Derby, won it. And going into it, I was like, look, the difference why he wins this after not winning the last 2, jockey effing upgrade. You lose Rosario, you ditch him, and then you get Jose Ortiz up, and got the even the 2 losses. He was very competitive. He was right there. We thought for sure on Derby Day he was winning that race in the final stages until he got caught. But we both love Far Bridge, don't we?
Yeah, you made all great points. I mean, this horse just looks like it's ready to go. Been in great form, improved significantly in that Belmont Derby. I think has a shot at taking another step forward. And if that's the case, Far Bridge is going to be awfully tough. You go back, you look at Web Slinger, who I love as a horse, great story, winning the American Turf. Pace just set up for Web Slinger that day. They went 23-4, 47-4. We're not going to get that type of pace for Web Slinger to close into, so I think it's going to make it a little more difficult for that horse. Far Bridge really has been able to sit almost any trip and close into almost any pace. So I'm going to go ahead and expect Far Bridge to be able to take a step forward. We know the distance isn't going to be a problem. And in that last race it was phenomenal. I mean, that's the thing. Just took a really nice step forward. You said it, Jose Ortiz, huge jockey upgrade there from what Rosario had been doing specifically at Churchill and Belmont. So you got to think that all systems go again for Far Bridge. Are you going any deeper? Are you leaving out the Euros, or are you going to add one of them?
I did. I actually went 4 deep here. I used the number 6 Web Slinger. I thought his Belmont Derby race was actually very good. He ended up getting 4th to Far Bridge in that spot, but Far Bridge and the Foxes both got inside trips. I know the Foxes blew the start and was last away, and that kind of hurt his chances, but they both got inside trips. Web Slinger had to go 6 wide in the far turn, and Far Bridge saved ground. Like I said, got that great rail trip. I think that we've seen that they are comparable enough in talent that if I'm going to get twice the price on Web Slinger and it's not going to make my ticket balloon, I'm going to go ahead and use him here. So I fit him on. And then last horse on my entire ticket is going to be the number 8 Lion of War. Comes out of a near stakes win at Royal Ascot, going 1.25 miles. The distance should be no issue for him. He's a son of the late, great Roaring Lion, who also was a Qatar racing horse. That horse loved to run long distances on turf. He's out of a Manju mare. Manju is known for giving, Manju was a 1.5 mile horse, so he's known for producing a lot of stamina horses. He seems to be improving. It's just a question of how does he match up against these horses, and he is a European coming in. So I thought that was enough to use him at 8-1. I think that there is enough talent here from the American perspective, and we've seen enough of these horses do well and succeed that you're going to get that price. We both left off the rail horse Mondigo, and for me, it was 2 reasons. One, I don't think he gets the easy lead that he got last time out in the Belmont Derby. Even though we're going shorter, if we were going this distance at Belmont, he actually would have won that race. Mike, what was his price that day compared to his 5-1 morning line now?
It was 41.5-1 that day, man.
Yeah. 2 reasons I think why we both are leaving him off of this ticket. And oh, by the way, it's Rosario. Another reason to not use him.
Yeah, I Lion of War was my third horse in if I was going to use somebody. And one of the reasons I didn't was what Kevin B mentioned. He's had some trouble at the gate in European races. That generally can cause problems in U.S. races.
Like the Foxes.
Especially ones we're not projecting much pace in. So I think that could be an issue there for Lion of War. It's one of the reasons I didn't use that Euro. I respect the franchise. It's 30-1, and Saez picks up the mount for Joseph P. O'Brien. He's not shipping horses over here to lose. But I couldn't really figure out why he shipped this horse over here, which made it a little more difficult for me to try and include that horse. Look, Mondango, I get it why people want to play him, but 5-1 is just too short for me. You'd need a repeat effort or better of that last race with completely different running tactics, which he's going to do. I mean, he's going to come from off the pace. I'm not sure I trust him at literally 1/8 of the price. So to me, this was tough to get around the 2 and the 5 here. Honestly, like I might even take a shot with the 3 before I took a shot with anyone else and try the filly in here because she did run well in the Belmont Oaks Invitational. She needs to take a step forward, but at least she gets a little bit of a weight break, and then she's not completely devoid of speed like some others in here.
And getting John Velasquez to ride her after Ushin Murphy was already going to be riding the 8 Lion of War. So that's, Ushin was supposed to ride Aspen Grove in the Saratoga Oaks and now won't get that chance. But you talked about Joseph O'Brien sending the 4 over. I think there was an extra spot on the FedEx plane because he's got a couple in the Saratoga Oaks and he's also got a maiden debuting on Saturday in I want to say it's race 1, the opener. He's got a 2-year-old maiden debuting there. So I think that there was just an extra spot, and they're like, the horse won last out. Why not? We'll send him over there and see what he can do. So, but we're both going to pass on him. Next up, the third leg of the Saratoga Late Pick 5 on Saturday, August 5th. The big one we care about, race 10, the Grade 1 Whitney Stakes, the Breeders' Cup winning year for the Classic. 6 males routing 1.1 miles on the dirt, but only one horse matters in this race. 2 questions for you. Did you single Cody's Wish? And what do you think his off odds will be here? Because he's 1-2 on the morning line.
Well, before we do that, I'm just going to bring this point up from Chris Niello. Rosario is starting to get back to respectability. I'm dangerously saying this 10 minutes before he rides Boy Goddess. I will give Chris some credit. He mentioned this a couple days ago. Rosario is putting horses in better spots. He has not been as much of a train wreck the last week or so. So I'm not completely off Rosario right now because he has. You're not like the classic when it's going really bad for him is when we just choke the crap out of a speed horse early and try and rate it. And he has not been doing that. He sent a couple horses a day. So he may be grounding back into form. So keep an eye on Rosario here, see if he flips the script. As to your question, yeah, I'm singling Cody's Wish. I thought this race came up pretty light considering what we thought might be in it a couple weeks ago. 1-2 is probably a pipe dream. I think you're getting 2-5, maybe 1-5 when we actually break from the gate. It's going to be all about whether or not Cody's Wish can get the distance. We've been waiting for him to go 1.1 miles for a while. I don't think it's going to be a problem for him, especially against this field. To me, it's really like, okay, what do you want to do underneath here? Because Cody's Wish is going to be very, very tough to beat. Charger probably tries to control the pace early. Zandon loves running second and third. They're your second and third choices at 5-1 and 9-2. But to me, this is Cody's Wish to move on.
Well, let's do our. Let's just give out a same thing for me. Stone Cold, and I think 1-5 is what it goes off at. I've got a Cody's Wish, Zandon Charge It, straight trifecta. I think is how it comes in. What about you?
I have that order as well. I was 6-1-2-4, I believe, for the guide.
Okay.
If you want to go straight super, but to me, yeah, like Zandon makes more sense for second than Charge It to me. I think Charge It sets the pace. Zandon catches him. Cody's Wish flies by both of them. I guess there's a world where Charge It could go gate to wire. I guess there's a world where Charge It just gets caught late by Cody's Wish, and that would be the argument for going 6-2. But Giant Game does like to show a little speed. Way to Barrio isn't completely devoid of speed. So I would expect that Charge It has the early lead and that Zandon and Cody's Wish both run him down, and the 6-1-2 is how it comes home. But this is one where I probably look at the prices as well, because depending on what you get at the exact or the try, because I'm only playing cold exactas or cold tries here, and so just check the price and see if you can get a nice exacta home at like 5-1, 4-1 with Cody's Wish on top, and there's Xander to Charge It in second.
I mean, you talk about Zandon. Kevin B says Zandon loves silver, baby. He's at 11 starts. He's got 5 seconds. It should be 6 seconds because I still say Rich Strike winning the Derby was stupid and shouldn't count. It should have been an Epicenter Zandon straight exacted there. But Zandon just doesn't like to win. He broke his maiden on debut as a 2-year-old, almost won the Remsen in his next start against Mo Donegal, and then he wins the Bluegrass over, checks notes, Smile Happy, who scratched out of this race. He's got a small injury. Emmanuel, who's a turf horse, was at third that spot. So really not that impressive. And yet off of that race, now the Bluegrass, that was actually the first year was a grade 1. So they almost probably took it back away from them there. But yeah, we're big on Cody's Wish here. We both think a 6-1 exact and a 6-1-2 trifecta. The penultimate leg of the late pick 5 at Saratoga on Saturday, August 5th. Race number 11. This is when it gets interesting. 10 males, 3 and up, sprinting 7 furlongs on the dirt at the N1X allowance level. 4 of these horses, Mike, are exiting maiden wins, and they're now facing seasoned winners for the first time. Who's your top pick?
One of those 4 horses. Give me the 9 horse. Capture the Flag at 15-1 on top here. We're going to take a little bit of a swing. Saez riding for Shug McGahee. And it's a little different than what you may expect, right? Capture the Flag, we've not seen this horse since July 30th, 2022, off 180-plus day layoffs. Shug is 22%. First-time Lasix, 21%. Saez got off Carmel Chip, the 10 horse, for the 9 horse here. And Capture the Flag, if you remember, was a really impressive debut winner at Saratoga as a 2-year-old last year. And we just haven't seen him in a full year. And now we're returning to a racetrack we know he likes. Saez takes this mount. This just feels like all systems go here to me at a big-time price. I don't see how you can leave this horse off. And look, if I was going to take, this is one of those spots where I like the 7 a little bit, right? Ever so mischievous. I like the 5 a little bit. But the prices just aren't there when you compare it to 15-1 on Capture the Flag, who I think has as good of a shot as anyone else to win this race. So I'm going to take a price. I'm going to take the 9 Capture the Flag on top.
Yeah, we were talking about it off air before the show started, in between my bites of my lunch. I almost made this my top pick as well. The 371-day layoff is a concern. That's usually a negative with Shug horses, but 2 reasons to like it. A, the horse broke the maiden on debut, which was right here at Saratoga going 5.5 furlongs. This horse hasn't missed a single work in 10 straight weeks. This horse is fit as F as he could possibly be for a Shug horse. And then, like you said, the fact that Saez is going to be staying on this horse is a big sign. You compare that with the other Shug horse coming off of a similar long layoff, the 2 Signator, and this is a horse that going into the Derby season, I know a lot of people were excited about. Huge expensive purchase for West Point Thoroughbreds and company, and by Tapit obviously he and the Gold Mare look like could be a real star, and then just constantly misses works. You look at it has 3 straight works at Saratoga on the page, but then it missed a month, and then you go back and was like, okay, yeah, through May and June was working. Well, the horse missed 4 months of works. This horse is having trouble staying healthy, which is a shame, but it also tells me if you're coming into this, you missed a month of works, you haven't ran since October. And then now you've got 3 weeks, and you're going to try and beat this group. And this is not maidens. These are like seasoned allowance horses that you're facing. A big reason I was against the 2 in this spot, but I do like the other Shug. My top pick is going to be the 10 Carmel Chip at 7-2. I think the horse is going to sit a great stalking trip early, be in prime position to power home late. I hope that he doesn't get stuck out too wide, but I don't think from a pace perspective that that's going to happen. I kind of think the 1, 5, and 7 all could go and probably sit back there with the 3 in the second group. 8 for 30 lifetime and a 5-year-old facing a bunch of 3-year-olds. Some of these horses, like I said, coming off of maiden wins. Last time out, ran 3rd in a photo finish over this course in distance. The race was won by a 4-5 favorite that had Irad riding for David Jacobson. And those 2 together, they're pretty damn hot in New York right now. Irad hops back aboard, had 3 straight wins, March, April, May, all with Irad riding. in that spot. So I like the 10 Caramel Chip in this spot for Jose D'Angelo, the trainer, and I read riding. I don't think you used the 10 though, did you?
No, I didn't. This is a sneaky big step up in class. That was my big thing. I realized this horse is 8 for 30 lifetime, has a ton of wins, but a lot of those wins are in $10,000 allowance levels. And that's a Churchill Keeneland, the lowest level possible allowance. Was running at Gulfstream. Was running an $8,000 claimer at Gulfstream in January of this year. So a lot of those wins are against much lesser. The numbers on the page fit. It's just I'm not sure the class on the page fits with this level or this caliber of horse and what Caramel Chip is going to be running. And then on top of that, the 7-2 kind of hurts me a little bit, right? Like if we were staring at 10-1, I could make a much better argument for ignoring the class issue. But because of the price is 7-2, I just can't really ignore the class issue. The Caramel Chip is stepping way up here to try and compete with these. Now, totally could win the race. I'm not saying that the horse has no chance. Just for me, I can't get there when you're taking on this level of horses who've run in grade 1, grade 2 races. I mean, the 8 Bourbon Bash was in the grade 1 Hopeful, the grade 1 Bruce Futurity, the grade 2 Rebel is 20-1, right? So it's like versus a horse that's been running in $10,000 and $20,000 allowances. It's hard to swallow 7-2 for me there. I did play the 7, Ever So Mischievous, who is going to be your favorite in this spot. He's going to try and take this field, most likely gate to wire. Brad Cox, Tyler Gaffleone, great workout on July 29th. Not really that interesting because we're at 2-1, but it's a horse that I think you kind of want to be using here. It's the other must-use for me. I do like the 5 Frat Pack a little bit here. It's a horse that debuted for Chad Brown in July of 2022 at Saratoga. Ran third behind Up to the Mark on the dirt that day. It's always interesting because Up to the Mark now a dominant turf horse. It's why these Saratoga maiden special weights can be so much fun. Came back at Belmont and looked phenomenal. Dominated a small field, only 5 horses that day. Won easily. At right around even money. Now coming back, I love that Pratt is riding for Frat Pack too. I'm glad that they decided that this is the go-to jockey for this horse. If Frat Pack can take another step forward and shows the ability to rate, I think he makes some sense here. I don't love the fact that this is one of those maidens coming in against olders or coming against winners for the first time, but at least that Frat Pack's a 4-year-old, not a 3-year-old. So to me, there's a little bit of a positive there. And then I'm going to take one big shot here too. I'm going to go with a 4-horse Bad to the Bones. Bill Mott and John Velasquez, 15-1 on this one. I think the races 2 and 3 back are better than what they look like on paper. And then when you look at the last race, it was 2-1 against Brewpub, who's your 3-horse in this spot, who was the favorite that day, also at 2-1. And now one is 8-1, one is 15-1. And the reason is because the 4 just didn't run that well. Well, the 4 was on the inside that day. Didn't get the trip that you really wanted, kind of chasing the inside, caught kickback. Didn't like the track. There's enough reasons for me to kind of draw a line through that last effort for the 4. And if you do that, the previous 2 are good enough to compete with this field. You're getting a big-time price on a trainer and a barn that's hot right now.
I looked at the 4. I considered the 3 and the 4. Didn't use either one of them, but both are a little interesting. The 3 to me, which I didn't like. One thing I didn't like about the 4 is that Alvarado is not on the horse and ends up riding not for Bill Mott, but on the 3-horse when he didn't ride that horse last out. The 3-horse to me, I was like, I could make a case because if there's a pace meltdown, I think the 3 is going to come running real strong. And then I look back in the past performances, and I was like, man, if it's not total slop, I don't think this horse has a shot in hell against these horses. All 3 wins in 39 starts. 39 starts, 3 wins, all in this slop. So I couldn't pull the trigger on the 3, unless there's just a sudden downpour at Saratoga. But right now it's looking like it'll be fast and firm, which is really a blessing on a big day. I agree with you on the number 5, Frat Pack. F Pratt on Frat Pack. Say that 5 times fast. Interesting fact about this horse, $410,000 auction purchase as a yearling by Liz Crow and Brad Weisbord. And like 98% of their horses go to Brad Cox now. They were repping for Peter Brandt, who always sends his horses to Chad Brown. And so it's interesting that that's where it ends up. Because also, a dirt sprinter, you think that's Brad Cox's milieu, not necessarily Chad Brown. So very interesting that that's where the horse ends up. But I couldn't get away from the 5. So for me, I just went 5, 9, 10 in this spot. I did, like I said, take a look at the 4 there. I think maybe just might be a little bit too much, but could definitely hit the board. I didn't like the fact that the horse didn't really show anything much last time out at Belmont Park. But you did make a case for it. A horse was stuck inside, took a bunch of kickback. Hopefully doesn't get that happen here. As far as the 7, I'm trying to beat the 7 here, and you are getting a good jockey upgrade, great jockey upgrade from Flo to Tyler Gaffleone. But 2 reasons I'm against, and I saw people in the chat bringing it up here. Chris Maiello brings up the 7 is going to be bet through the floor because it's Tyler Gaffleone riding for Brad Cox. I also hate the fact that the horse that beat him at Ellis, Heartbreaker, came back to run a huge clunker in that spot, just completely fell apart. It was a Dale Romans horse. And first of all, you lost to a Dale Romans horse. I don't know how you're going to come to Saratoga and win here. But then on top of that, Heartbreaker ran terribly in his next start against N2X Allowance. And the speed figure regressed for ever so mischievous after breaking his maiden in the slop at Churchill Downs. So reasons I was against the horse, but if Brad Cox and Tyler Gaffleone win with this horse, it's not going to be a big shock. I'm just trying to beat what I think is a beatable favorite here at 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing, Heartbreaker clunking. Anytime a McPeak horse clunks, I'm not worried about it. Like, you never know, because we've seen so many instances where a McPeak horse runs huge.
Romans, and then, not McPeak, Romans.
Romans, I'm sorry. Well, I've put him in the same boat as McPeak. You see these horses run huge.
Kenny McPeak says, "Ouch."
Well, that's fair. I withdraw that comment. I will take McPeak over Romans. But like some of these trainers, like it's just you get these messy efforts. I also don't think 2-1 is going to be off odds. I think that the 10 and the 5 are going to go off favorites here. They're close to it. I don't think that the 7 is getting bet off the board in this spot. We'll see. But I would be surprised if you see the 7 under that 2-1 morning line because I do think this is a pretty tough race. But I do respect the 7 and what he's been able to do toward the front end. I think the 7 is probably your pace too here. We'll see if the 5 decides to go, but I think it's between the 2 of them that's going to be the pace. I guess our old friend on the rail, Cape Trafalgar, may decide to be part of that pace effort as well, but we'll see what happens. This is a tough race. I like the 7 enough to say that I'm not going to leave it off here. To me, it was the second pick. I was 9-7, 4-5 in this spot, so I'm not going to leave the 7 off.
Before I move on, special shout out. Shotty is actually paying attention somehow with everything working at Gen Con. But the big news here, Shotty reporting there's a horse racing board game. Horse racing is safe. Shotty, if you're still watching, tell us in the chat what the game is, because I do have a game that is horse racing related. So it's I think it's like you roll some dice and see if your horse moves or something. But we'll see if it's the same one there. But good to see you in the chat. The final leg of the Saratoga Late Pick 5 on Saratoga, August 5th, race number 12, if I pull it up here. 12 males, 3 and up, routing a mile and a 16th on the outer turf at the N1X level. The Ortiz brothers must be thinking, speaking of games, that they're playing musical horses here, Mike, because Irad's hopping off the 4 for the 10. The 10 got Jose leaving for the 4 horse. They're just kind of going all over the place. They have the same jockey agent, so I don't really know what that's about. Where'd you go on top here?
Look, this is a race that was tough for me because a lot of my old favorites are in here, but this is a Trip Trouble horse that's coming back for me here. I considered playing a press ticket and just singling Shutters, the one horse. If you go back and you watch the last race, Shutters was the best horse in that race. I mean,
yep.
Going into the far turn, essentially 2 horses in front of Shutters, 1 to the inside, 1 to the outside, 2 horses behind. Shutters just kind of has to sit in that pocket in the middle of these horses, and then the 2 horses from behind roll around the outside, and Shutters just has to sit behind a wall of 3, finally gets room, gets through, and then 2 horses come over, and Shutters gets shut off on the rail. Shutters was the best horse in that race. And so that, to me, means you don't even use Alzaraka, who ended up finishing a neck in front of Shutters. Shutters would have won that race if he got through. I would expect you're going to see him get a better trip here because it can't get much worse for him. So I put the 1 Shutters on top. I think 3-1 is a really good price. This is one of those where if we get 3-1 on race day, you're going to see me firing a win bet at it.
Top pick for me as well, and I also want to bring up this is the second time out from Mark Hennig after being purchased for $60,000 at the Keeneland April Horses of Racing Age sale. We both, I believe, used the 2 horses that were sold in April and now show up in this race. But the number 1 Shutters top pick for me as well. I made Al's Rocket my second pick at 4-1. It's Pletcher, it's Irad at Saratoga on the turf with the horse. It's third off the layoff, third started age 4. The 2 back rallied from last of 8 to finish second behind a runaway gate to wire winner. And then last time out, you mentioned the fact that Shutters really was the best looking horse and just had all sorts of trouble on the rail. This horse still ran really well and just missed behind a 4-5 Irad and Chad winner. And a runner in second place with Katie Davis aboard that nearly went gate to wire as well. And I like that we're keeping Ortiz brother aboard. So I did use the 10 Al's Rocket as well. But I understand if the post can concern you because we're going 2 turns at kind of a quick run up to that first turn. It was a little concerning for me. I'm just hoping that it isn't that much of an issue.
Yeah, I didn't like the 10 because of the post. And like I said, I think the 1 covers the 10. I think the 1 Shutters is just better than Al's Rocket. So I don't feel like I need to use them both. And I wanted to spread a little bit here, and I wanted to have some prices. And so because of that, I left Al's Rocket off. Second pick, a horse that, like, if you want to go have fun, watch the last 5 races from Ruse. I mean, the 3 horse in this spot loves to fight. And it started at Saratoga, the races 4 and 5 back, where runs 6th and runs 2nd. And you look at that and you're like, well, that's not very good. Look, those were 2 tough races. Specifically the one where the horse ran 6th was like 3 wide on both turns on the day where Saratoga, if you weren't on the rail for both turns, you could not win. Ruse dug in and tried his ass off there and ends up just missing. Next time out, comes back, runs 2nd. Very similar story. Was going a mile, was 2 wide, both turns, got the lead, and just got run down late. Came back, I thought ran really well at Aqueduct. Faced Shutters that day, ended up losing. Comes back at Belmont and dug in and showed so much heart to win at 7 furlongs. Then jumps up to Stakes Company, wasn't able to get the job done there against Better. Now jumping back down to where he fits. Ruse is going to get a very good trip here because Ruse is going to be your rail speed. I think that you're not going to see him on the lead, but you're going to see him sitting very forwardly placed, probably pressing from the inside in this spot and sitting in that 2nd position. If Ruse gets a lead, watch out. If Ruse is sitting in that 2nd position and saves ground both turns, watch out. You're going to have to go get him. He's not going to come back to you. So I do like the 3 quite a bit here.
Yeah, Kevin B agreeing with you, loves the horse. Kevin's worried about the pressure, and so you went with an 8-1 horse that you think will be on the lead and it's got inside speed. I also did, just one that was outside, the number 4, My Seat Cottage, also 8-1. This is the other one for an Ortiz brother. This horse has been competitive in all 6 starts since last December, which was his first start after 252-day layoff. He's never missed the board in those 6 starts, has 2 wins. 2 of the losses he missed by necks in those spots. 1 gate to wire last time out with Irad aboard, but the previous 2 races when he lost by a neck both times, he had Jose aboard, including at 1 mile and 1/16 over the inner turf at Belmont Park. I think this horse has got a lot of fight in him, just like the 3 does. It'd be really interesting for us from a show perspective if they turn off the corner and it's the 3 and 4, and one of them's gonna win, and they're just sitting there, just who's got the more fight, who's got it going for him right there. So I respected the 3. I like the 4 just a little bit more, so that's why I went with him. Let's talk about the other horse we agree upon, and that's the number 5. What Say Thee at 15-1. To me, this is a horse that he really needs a pace collapse. He hasn't gotten that set up for him recently. And if the 3 and 4 decide to just gun it stupidly on the front end and the 6th Fair Dinkum, fun name, decides to join them as well, we could finally have the right setup for the 5 horse. I'll let you talk about the horses, the races in the past, but I just want to talk about the fact that Jack Sisterson has always been this horse's trainer. He has not always been this horse's owner. The breeder, Calumet Farm, is who had this horse and campaigned him until April. They put him in that horse's racing age sale, the same one that Shutters was sold in and went to Mark Hennig. Sisterson, as the trainer, paid $45,000 of his own money to keep the horse with himself. And what's the first thing he does? Gelds him. Snips the balls right off. For a 2nd time gelding, so the horse is a little more used to the aerodynamics, a little bit more free-flowing. It's not a weird feeling. He's now used to it. So good angles there. Talk to me about his races, though.
Well, I mean, this is just a really, really muddied up form prior to this last effort. So 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf, 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf, 1 mile and 70 yards on the synthetic, 1.5 miles on the turf, 1 mile and 70 on the synthetic, 1.25 miles on the dirt, 1 mile on the turf. Just no consistency at all at how the horse was campaigned, but all of the better races came at the longer distances, right? Well, I wouldn't say longer distances, but not the 1.5 miles is a little brutal. But ran well at 1 mile and 1/8, ran well over a mile. Like, now we come back and we start out first start after Sisterson takes ownership, and we go 7 furlongs, which is too short for this horse. Clearly a setup race. That's why we were in that race, was to set up this 2nd off the layoff, stretching out to the mile-plus distance that we want. 15-1 is a heck of a price on a horse that should get a pretty good setup, should get a very good trip, and is capable of winning. We had a career best buyer after the horse gets snipped. Now you're getting 2nd off the layoff. The horse is clearly prepped to go. 2nd off the gelding. I realize, like, you're projecting to step forward here, a pretty decent one, but there's like 7 different reasons why this horse could take a step forward in a pretty decent one. You're getting 15-1 with Gaffnone, who's been on fire. I respect the heck out of Sisterson, who can train him up and gets these type of horses home often at meets like Saratoga as well. So I think it's all systems go here for What Say Thee. I think the last was really just a prep race for this race, and this is where they were pointing at Saratoga, and so I'll take 15-1 all day here.
We each have one more horse to go. I'll talk about the one that was actually ahead of him in that last race. The number 7, Dragon, at 15-1.
Dragon.
I feel like if I'm using the 5, let's say I should probably use the 7 a little bit as well. Finished 3/4 of a length ahead of him last time out while rallying from 8th, whereas the 5, like you said, it was 7 furlongs too short for him. But the 5 horse, let's say, he kind of just ran in place a little bit. The 7 really managed to close, which I thought was impressive. Now the question is, can he handle 2 turns at Saratoga against this kind of class? 2 turns he's done before, but it was 3 races at Sam Houston. They were all his first 3 starts for Robertina Diodoro. Got a win by open lengths and also 2 neck victories there. This is a huge step up in class, but he also had that 7 furlong starter allowance win at Belmont Park back in May. So I think he can handle the New York talent for this spot. The fact that he came within 3/4 of length of Appraise, who was a very short priced Chad Brown horse. I like that for him. It's just a matter for me of can he go a mile and a 16th in this spot. But at 15-1, I'll use him. I was back and forth between this one and the last horse that you used, and you're going for a horse for course angle on the number 2.
Yeah, I know a lot of people mentioned the 2 here in the chat as well, Dancing with the Stars. I used this horse, I think, on a previous show, maybe the first weekend, and the horse scratched out of the race, and now this is where we're coming back. Dancing with the Stars and Sayas have been a phenomenon up here at the Spa. They won in, I think it was 2021. They won in 2022 with this horse. Now here we are back in 2023, trying to go 3 straight years. And every time it's been winning, it's Sayas aboard. Horse is 3 for 6 over the Saratoga turf course. And this is the kind of setup this horse needs. It's drawing inside, being able to sit on the inside of both turns, make one big run down the lane, try and snap them off. That's how Dancing with the Stars got the wins at Saratoga before. You're going to get a very similar trip here with Sayas aboard again. I do think there's enough pace to chase here. You're going to have horses like Ruse. You're going to have horses like My Sea Cottage, probably like Fair Dinkum go as well. All of that sets up for someone coming from off the pace, and Dancing with the Stars is probably one of your more likely off the pace winners, at least from way back. So to me, I feel like you kind of have to use this one here at 10-1. So I'll go 4 deep here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 5. Got a 3-1 favorite, but then we get the 10-1, 8-1, and 15-1 to round out the race.
And both Mark Heft and Dr. Tang talking up the 2 as well. I missed the race. I didn't have it up, but listen, if you watch Dudes Who Bet Daily, first of all, you would have hit some really nice bets earlier, and then you would have been screaming at Kevin Gossman like I was for losing that one. But we both, I don't know about you, I went with McCulloch. I thought McCulloch, I said, you can't play Warlike Goddess. You've got to take McCulloch, and she wins at 4-1. I didn't watch the race. I just saw the chat talk about it, and then I see McCulloch on the screen there. McCulloch got her, though. So Doc says that it was Joelle being Joelle. Okay. And she got caught at the wire. That doesn't happen unless she's in the Breeders' Cup usually. So I'll have to watch that one back. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, Somich and Dr. Tang on the same horse. Nick says I'll have to use the 2. If there's any scratches in this spot, I think the 2 is definitely going to make the ticket for me. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to talk about Saratoga's late pick 5 on Saturday, August 5th. 3 grade 1 races, the other 2, lots of fun, plenty of ways to go. If you like a horse that we didn't mention, let us know down in the comments section. You can tweet at us. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. Let us know your tickets. We love to see what our fans are playing. Maybe you take our picks and our opinions and some of them and mix in your own. And we've seen that work very successfully for some of our fans as well. And again, if you hit, we want to hear about it. So let us know in the comments section. We'll give out our tickets. Whoops, one last time. I hit the wrong button there. I'll start for 50 cents. I'm going 1-6 with 2-5-6-8. Single Cody's Wish the 6, 5-9-10 with 1-4-5-7-10. That's $60 for mine, Mr. Somich.
I'm going to play a $48 ticket here. I'm going to go 1-5-6 with 2-5 with 6 with 4-5-7-9 with 1-2-3-5. Again, $48 for 50 cents.
Over at racingdudes.com, you can get yourself you can do the pre-order right now. It should be available probably Friday morning, early afternoon. Hopefully, we'll see what the bosses do. We've got the betting Bible for the Whitney Stakes. Will be available. You can get it for download or for pre-sale right now, and as soon as it's ready, we'll send out email blasts and tweets. We'll be sure to let you know to go check that out. If you have any kind of a subscription to the Somobombs, the premium products, the Racing Dudes Rockets, any combination thereof, you get all of the Bibles for free. So if you're looking to play Saratoga Del Mar and keep getting the Bibles, if you buy 2 of those a month, it basically pays for itself to just get yourself a premium membership of some sort. So go check that out at racingdudes.com. Anything else before we get out of here other than Warlight Goddess lost and we're all going to blame Joel Rosario, it sounds like.
Well, it sucks. I've tried to fade Warlight Goddess in the pick 6 and the pick 5. We're 3 deep in the pick 5, 4 deep in the pick 6. And that freaking pipeline, I did not fade pipeline. I had to try and fade them both. Can we just see what the pick 5 and pick 6 payouts are now? Because they are going to be stacks with both of those going down. One other thing to note, we got football tonight, Magic.
Yeah, the CFL. We got the CFL, Winnipeg and BC Lions, baby.
We got NFL football. The Hall of Fame game starts in a mere 2 hours. Give me under 33.5 in the Jets and the Browns tonight. Average score 29.3 over the last 10 years in the Hall of Fame game. We get Zach Wilson in a vanilla offense the first half from the Jets and 3rd and 4th stringers in the second half. No points scored, baby. Let's keep this under 33.5. By the way, Magic, my first under, I've done this every year with totals. Giants under 7.5 is the first lock of the year for me. We're going to go against my boys last year that went over 6.5. We're going Giants under 7.5 this year is the first one.
The Giants cashed the over before the season was half over last year, which was a phenomenal play by you. We also were hoping they would win the division. They didn't quite. That was a tough division to win last year. We got a couple minutes. What's your reasoning for this? This is very interesting.
The more you dive into their schedule, the more screwed they are. They're going to start out 1-4 on the year at best. The first half of their schedule, absolutely brutal. And one of their weaknesses this year is their interior offensive line. That is everyone they are playing early. They're teams with good interior pass rushes. It is going to be very, very difficult for them to be able to get any wins early. I expect they're going to be 2-7, maybe 3-6 through 9 games. And then the back half of their schedule features playing the Eagles twice. They got to take on the Patriots. They got to take on the Packers. It's just not an easy schedule for them at all. And then you look at the quarterbacks they faced last year. It seemed like every week the Giants played a team that had a quarterback hurt the previous week. This year they have to play a very good quarterback roster. So give me the under on the Giants.
I mean, I haven't dived into it, and you've been very, very impressive whenever you give out preseason bets that don't involve the Cleveland Browns. So hopefully you keep that streak rolling here.
Bet, Dick. I bet that midseason.
Baker Mayfield as a rookie to take the Browns to win the Super Bowl?
They were 50-1, and it wasn't a large bet, but it happens, you know.
I'll find you a 50-1 in Saratoga that's got a better chance of hitting than that. So, yeah, we got that going. Anyways, thanks for joining us. We'll be back Friday through Sunday. Dudes Who Bet Daily. We've been giving out lots of great winners. We are coming into today over $500 year to date. Playing 4 or 5 days a week. And if you watched this for the first few months, you knew we were down 4 figures. So the fact that we're up over 500 coming in today is pretty impressive. Should be able to turn a profit today as well, despite Kevin Gossman running out of gas in the 6th inning there for the Toronto Blue Jays. But we'd love to see you there every Friday through Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Blinkers Off will be live at some point later today. I'm not sure when. And then also possibly Dudes Who Bet Sports. I'm not sure. I know Aaron's traveling around to upstate New York. Papa Dude's getting ready to go to Florida for his vacation there. So that may or may not happen this week. Dudes After Dark programming note, they are off this week. I love that everybody was all excited to do one show, and then poor Nick Sievers can't get anybody to commit to him. So Nick Sievers, he's having some issues with commitment, aren't we all? But we'll be back with that pretty soon as well. Hopefully next week covering Del Mar. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And Mike, you better show Kevin B's boy Fat Daddy some respect after today. You were respecting it. You had Giants first 5 under, first 5 winning.
He pitched really well. Just made one big mistake, and the Giants bullpen game came through for us. So we got that plus 107 home. I will say he pitched better than I expected. But we're still cashing, baby.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.